Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody, wherever you're joining us from. This is the Talkin Kop. We're here for another full-time match reaction show. I'm your host, Matt. I'm joined by the full group of our regular post-match people, and Kev, Chris, and Ashley. We're here to discuss Liverpool 2, Chelsea 1. Liverpool going back to the top of the Premier League today in what was quite an eventful game. We're going to have to just get right into it because, of course, we've got the Sunday night show coming up tonight where Gav and at least some of the lads will go through it in broader strokes, but we'll get through the nitty-gritty. Just to begin with, let me just start off by saying Ashley really blows. And I'm talking about the storm, not Ashley, because Ashley, it was quite windy today, and it led to a bit of a tempestuous game at Anfield, didn't it?
Yeah, I had nothing to do with the weather today. I wish I had that kind of power, but if I did, the contracts would have been sorted. But yeah, there was a lot of wind. There was a lot of wind. You could see it. You could see it early on with some of the balls that Chelsea were playing, where they were carrying so far. Like Sanchez looked like he had an extra pair of rocket boosters in his boots. But yeah, I'm glad that we made it through. And yeah, sorry about the naming of that.
It was just too good to pass up. I couldn't help myself.
No, I've already got so much shit from our Telegram chat about it.
Just an unfortunate naming coincidence. Chris, it was kind of everything you could have hoped for a first game back from an international break. I think in terms of performance and in terms of results, like a lot to like about that game.
Yeah, I think it's on the whole a pretty controlled performance. We will talk about it a bit, but honestly, generally people stop listening to Gary Neville. Gary Neville's concern for Liverpool is not real. And honestly, I felt at halftime I'd watched a different game because the talk at halftime was we were dominated. Liverpool couldn't control their man-to-man marking. So what did Liverpool do when they were doing man-to-man? They just went long and realised Liverpool had the pace against that back four to cause them issues. Chelsea had 2 shots on target. Do you know what I mean? Let's have it as it is. Chelsea, we didn't have as many shots as we normally do, but we were clinical. To be honest, 2-1 flat as Chelsea. This is a controlled performance. This is not the Jurgen Klopp style. This is the new way we're doing things. It was very Man City.
Yeah, and we heard that about Arne Slot before he got the job, that he was something of an acolyte of Pep Guardiola, a huge follower of his footballing philosophies and stuff like that. And Kev, like Chris mentioned there, Gary Neville. Thankfully, Ashley and I over here with the international feed are spared the tragedy that is Gary Neville. The trade-off is that we've lost Peter Drury, but I had Jim Proudfoot and Jim Beglin and heard the same sort of narrative from them. And it makes you wonder if you're watching a different game, because I didn't think Chelsea dominated us. I thought that we were very controlled, very calm in how we approached the opening part of that game.
We set up with a defensive plan to stay narrow and give up the wings. And say, okay, no matter what happens, they're not going to play around us or through the middle of us. That's what happens when the wingers have the ball and they're running at your fullbacks. You're under the illusion that you're under pressure or that you're going to concede at any second because something magical is going to happen. The truth is, Chelsea's wingers, Madueke and Jadon Sancho in the first half, if they had the ball out in the wing, they're not scoring from there. They might be able to create something from there, but if you've got the middle blocked off, then they're running into corners, and you're trusting your fullbacks to be able to manage the situation, and that's what happened. It's a different way of looking at football, and it's something that never gets praised enough. Is when a side defends well, that it gets talked up. It doesn't. It's just, oh, Chelsea were unfortunate, or they huffed and they puffed. They didn't get the job done. If they had someone else up front instead of Jackson, that person still wouldn't have got any service, by the way. So it's literally about cutting off the supply. They had one good chance at the start of the first half, and Cole Palmer had one really good chance at the end of the first half. Other than that, we managed our way through the first half really well, and we were threatening on the counter. Those long passes up to Mo, where he was able to hold it up and go against Gustav or try to get something off of him. That was the outball. It was the difference between us today having an outball, and if anyone wants to 2 o'clock But if you don't, well, the way we played today, I thought we managed the 97 minutes, whatever it was, really, really well controlled in the main. A side like Chelsea are always going to create chances. They're always going to get the odd chance. You just have to make sure that the chances they get are, one, limited, and two, difficult. And we got caught once. So all in all, a good day.
Yeah, I mean, you said we set up with a defensive plan, and it's something that Arne Slot's been talking about a lot in his media duties that he's had so far at the start of the season, of wanting to have that defensive stability. You see it from our record in terms of only coming into the game having conceded 2 goals in the league. And a big thing for me from that was from the lineup, and it's somebody who's going to get talked about a lot on this show, and I would imagine on tonight's Sunday night show as well, too, and that was Curtis Jones. Ashley, I don't think it's deniable that Arne Slot sent Curtis Jones out there with a plan to man mark Cole Palmer out of the game. And he 100% did it.
You're on mute, Ash.
Oh.
Sorry, it's a really good point, too. I was saying that I think Curtis really exemplified everything that was good on the pitch today for us, where, he was just so tenacious. And it's what you want to see a player do when they come in after a few games not playing, where they just seize the opportunity. And, he's a new dad this week. So obviously that's kind of been a big life change. But he just looked so full of confidence. And it was just great to see. It was great to see a game where, from start to finish, he really just controlled the ball. He did such a good job of keeping Palmer quiet. And it was from the back of the pitch all the way to the front of the pitch. It was a total performance from him. So I'm very, very pleased for him.
Yeah. Scouser Pete is asking if Cole Palmer was even playing. And I mean, Chris, it was obvious that he was always going to be the danger man. So it was good to see that we set up for that. The only other change in the lineup, I think I nailed Jones, by the way, when he did our preview show, that I thought he might start ahead of McAllister, was the other possible starting South American, and Luis Diaz doesn't start, and Gakpo gets to start. Any issues with that for you, or feel it?
No, they're all pretty much like for like. So Slot's made it clear now. The left side is Gakpo or Diaz. There's no other options. Right side is Mo or probably Chiesa or Elliot probably when he comes back. And the attack, the middle one is Jota or Nunez. That's to players know their set positions, which is probably comfortable for every player. They know what to do. Jones made sense with McAllister travelling, managing a groin issue. As Kev rightly pointed out last time, he's not got the best record when he comes back from international breaks because he's just a bit slow. So to get back into the rhythm of the game. So all in all, it's fine. Kev doesn't want to look at us, so that's all right. But no, I was fine with the lineup. I've got to say that's the quietest I've seen Palmer in the game. I think that's credit to us because he's a really good player. I mean, I say quiet, he still had 2 good chances, but for Cole Palmer, that's a quiet game, which is credit. The only disappointments I would say is we probably didn't get Reece James enough. He's been out for like a year. Probably could have tried to capitalize on that a little bit more, but that's about it.
Yeah, I'm so happy. I love all the comments coming in of wondering where all the Curtis Jones haters are, and mentioning people saying that Curtis Jones wouldn't hack it in the championship because he was just absolutely excellent today. And Kev, we get into the match, and another big talking point throughout the whole match was all my exes live in Texas, Garth John Brooks. Another terrible refereeing performance from him, because 3 minutes in, it couldn't be a more obvious handball on the edge of the Chelsea box that should have led to a dangerous free kick for us. But it's absolutely ignored by him, and it kind of set a tone for the rest of the match. It felt like John Brooks never really had control. Oh, and we've lost Kev. He did not want to answer that question.
Kev was so upset over that. He was like, absolutely no.
Yeah, no, I just completely refuse. He's having a few connection issues, so we'll come back in there. We'll touch on John Brooks a little bit later. The 6 minute is a major talking point because there's a yellow card to Tosin. I would have sworn his name was Adarabioyo, but my comms were pronouncing it Adarabayoyo, so I don't know if there was a missing Y or he just added an extra Y to his name, but I found that very strange. But
I just say Tosin.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I write down too because it's much easier. Shades of yesterday's Bournemouth Arsenal game in it, Ashley, in the sense of Was he the last man back? It was obviously at least a yellow card, possibly a red card. What's your take on it? Was that the right call from the ref?
I think Colwell was there as a recovery player, but just barely. I think that if he was maybe a yard or two back, I think it would have been a red card. I'm okay with that call. I'm also okay with the difference between that call and the Arsenal call. I think that, there's clearly a giant gap between Ben White in the Arsenal game and the ball. So I think two separate incidents. I understand why they're going to get compared, but I'm okay with both of the calls there.
Madge Apple, the resident English teacher, saying yo-yo must be satire, which is yes, because it's a bit of an up and down game, But in that collision where Tosin gets the yellow card, it ends up that he comes down with his knee on Jota's ribs, and it ends up leading to Jota having to go off later in the half. But
he's the most unluckiest footballer going, isn't he? Because his last two injuries have been
injuries that have nothing to do with him.
Yeah, because his previous was Brentford, where some fella fell on his knee, and he could do nothing. He could do nothing about it. That's what you do feel for him. So I'm a bit like, because I know that'll get thrown just now. Or another injury, but I'm generally like, what can he do?
Yeah, and then there was before we get. Oh yeah. There's a huge flurry of activity from about 24 to 29 minutes. We got Kev back. We have a good press for the first time, because for about the first 20, 25 minutes, we weren't really actively pressing the ball. I felt that we were really quite sitting off. We were having our first bank of players out of possession, sitting, 10, 15 yards inside the Chelsea half, letting them pass the ball around. That's all well and good. You can have that. And then in about the 24th, 25th minute, we went once and we really pressed them. And Reece James gets the ball and he's cutting inside. To me, it's just a massive dive and he goes down. This is where Chelsea then immediately attack off of that non-call. Curtis Jones throws in an amazing block on a shot from Palmer from inside the box. We go back down the other way, and Kev, Mo Salah stands up, beats Levi Colwell. Colwell comes back at him. Mo's in the box. Mo goes down, asking for a penalty. Mr. O'Sullivan, what are your thoughts on that? Penalty, no penalty?
No, you're not getting those, especially if your name is Mo Salah, but you're not getting those pens. Used to be able to do the Luis Suarez, put your leg across the ball and invite the contact.
Some players still get points for that.
Yeah, nowadays you're just not getting them. They've clamped down on it. Anywhere else on the pitch, that's a free kick, because you have every right to protect the ball, and the player, your opponent, doesn't have the right to go through you. But it seems that in the penalty box, you're not getting a foul for it. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. If it went the other way, you'd be fuming, because Mo made it, but he spent the first, the minutes before that getting pulled all over the place, and he's not getting anything as usual. So I can imagine the frustration. The one time that he gets in, he wants to make sure he can get something in front of the ball and invite the challenge. But look, it's just one of them. You're not getting it.
Yeah, it feels right. I mean, Chris, like,
what did your comms make of it?
They barely even talked about it.
Oh, because our comms were saying he should have been booked. It's outrageous. Our resident Mank was saying he should have been booked. Putting your leg in the front of someone, it's not right. He should be booked. And amazingly, they had the guy from the Wirral. What's his name? Who's the ref from the Wirral, Kev? It comes with
Mike Dean.
Mike Dean, yeah. But Mike Dean was going, no, it's not a booking. He said he's put his body in the way. He said, and wait for someone to kick him. He said, that's what they do. He said, there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, we'll come to Gary Neville. The amount of yellows he wanted for random shit was unreal. But yeah, he wanted him booked for it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting, because I mean, Chris, Mel Brooks gets an opportunity at redemption. Arne Slot got a yellow card after Mo Salah.
Apparently, it was Heisinger who got it.
Oh, was it Heisinger?
Heisinger apparently got it.
What a blue! I'm putting one blue ornament on my Christmas tree this year just for Johnny Heitinga.
Oh, he's a top red.
He was a purple at best. He was never a full blue. He always had some red in him. I mean, Chris, it's like a minute later. Like I said, there's just a flurry of activity that I have here in my notes. Everything is starred. Mo Salah gets the ball again, beats Malo Gusto, tries to get a shot off. It's blocked. The ball just kind of scrambles. It falls to Curtis Jones and Levi Colwill. If you fail, try again. This time he concedes a penalty, and I don't think there can be any question over it.
No, I love this shocked face, though.
Yeah.
He's a good actor, and no, Curtis Jones does the right thing. He protects the ball and just lets him boot him in the ankle. Mr. Neville eventually agreed, oh, yeah, it probably is a penalty. But no, it was a routine penalty. Fair play to Chelsea. They tried their best to do the delay tactics on Mo. I think Jackson got booked for trying to delay it a bit longer. And look, Mo does what Mo does. I know some people in our contributors are a bit worried when Mo takes a penalty. I'm fairly relaxed with Mo's penalties. Kev still is. Routine 1-0, and I was quite relaxed then.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't show his exact long-term record, but when they put the graphic up and it shows where his last 5 penalties went. Ashley, I'm sure you might actually have the stat. You're good for these things usually, but he's at least 6 out of his last 6 now, because he was 5 for 5 coming in. And yeah, everybody has this apprehension over a left footer taking a penalty, and as somebody that's married to somebody that's left-handed, that's just whatever handed racism is, whatever the word for that is, just people not liking left-handed people. And I get it, but it's a quality penalty.
It's called leftism. It's called leftism. It's called leftism, because I get done for that as well. As a fellow
people
lefty.
in the house helping us out here, 35 out of 42. So I mean, that's
right out of my notes.
There you go. So that's 5 out of 6. That's a pretty good record for converting penalties, but he's quietly on it, Ashley. Like I don't have it right off the top of my head because I got my phone away from me, but he's got to have a pretty decent goal and assist tally already for the season, Mo Salah, because he ends up getting the assist, obviously, for the second, for the game-winning goal later. But it doesn't feel like he's been at absolute peak firing form. He's got 2 penalties now, but quietly, Mo Salah is just ticking along.
Yeah, and he's reaching more records. I mean, today he reached Thierry Henry's record of Premier League assists, and he entered the top 10 goal scorers in the Premier League. So, every single game, it's a new record. And Sanchez actually had saved the last 2 penalties that he had faced. So that was one thing I was a little bit nervous about. But yeah, he hit it with so much power and so much conviction. And I love that shot that they have, like, from right behind the penalty taker, that just shows the power that he got behind it. And yeah, I mean, there was a point in time, maybe like a year or 2 ago, where when Mo Salah stepped up to the spot, I got nervous because he had missed a few in a row, and that's gone now. I'm back to being confident Mo Salah is our penalty taker. But there was a point, I remember we had this conversation, like, should it be McAllister? Should someone else step up and take the pressure off Mo? And, credit to Klopp from last season. He just kept going and kept the faith in Mo. And I think that's something that has really paid off for us in that respect.
Well, there you go. The Talkin Kop contributing with the stats we needed: 5 goals and 5 assists in 8 Premier League games for Mo Salah, which is just absolutely fantastic. Scouser Pete, knowing the etymology of the Latin for left-handed people are the spawn of the devil. Fact, historically they were seen as possessed, knowing as sinister, which means left-handed. So Luis Sinisterra is the most evil and left-handed player in the entire Premier League. Kev, I will say the one big downside for me from this game comes shortly after we score, and that's when Darwin Nunez has to come on for Diogo Jota. I mean, we mentioned that he's an incredibly unlucky player. It seems like it's just going to be a contact injury, so hopefully he's not going to be out for any amount of time.
It's one of those things, when it comes to the ribs, you don't know. You'd have tried to run it off, but if he was struggling with his breathing, it's not until you start running and moving that you're going to know. And they wouldn't have taken him off for no reason. So we'll see. It'll probably take tomorrow, next press conference before it's the Leipzig game, we'll find out a bit more. But yeah, anything to do with the ribs, it's a slow heal. It's just horrible.
Yeah, there's not much you can do to.
No, you can't. And the thing is, Darwin comes on, and it's a different player, a completely different way of playing. Darwin and Jota are polar opposites to each other with the way that they have the ball into them and the way you have to build up with each of them. So it's a reset that the midfield had to do, really, and they had to do it really quick, because they'd have seen it when he fell on him first of all and thought, okay, he's all right now. And then he put his hand up and said, no, he had to come off. Unfortunate, really unfortunate.
Yeah. Shortly thereafter that, though, I mean, Chris, the ball's in the back of the net. It's Hurricane, I guess it's not a hurricane. Storm Ashley just playing absolute mind games with the balls from the long kicks. Sanchez getting help a lot of times in the first half, but at 32 minutes, he goes to kick one out, and it goes right to, I think it went right to Darwin, who heads it down to Jones, plays it to Mo, cross to Gakpo, it's in the back of the net, solid straight offside. But it just goes to show the effect the elements had on today's game, because especially late in the second half, it was a crapshoot when that ball went up in the air.
Oh yeah, it was comical. It was proper Sunday League stuff when it was that high. Yeah, it was a shame because it was a nice move again by Jones, and we thought we were going to get the standard Gakpo back post tapping, which is becoming one of his trademark goals. So that would have been what Liverpool deserved, to be fair, because I don't know if you mentioned it earlier. The one thing Jones did at 0-0 was a massive block on Palmer.
On Palmer. Oh no, I mentioned it.
I thought you mentioned
for the Mo penalty shout.
Yeah, so that was unfortunate, because because I messaged you guys saying if we get to 2-0 at half time, I think their heads will go, because they'll just be like, we've had loads of the ball. But I think this is the difference between Slot and the Chelsea manager. He is also from like the Guardiola school of football, but I feel they just do passing for passing's sake, and a lot of it doesn't go anywhere. Whereas I do feel Slot mixes it up, as in, he does try the 4-2-4 press, and if he doesn't think it's working, right, we'll drop deep and we're going to go with 4-4-2 and we're going to go long ball, because actually long ball's going to hurt them. Right, that's not working. He will adapt, and he will horses for courses. And I think the best is probably to do that, is to adapt to your conditions. Have a way of playing, but know that you can adapt it if you need to. And I just don't think Chelsea ever adapted their way, and I think also that led to their downfall a little bit.
Yeah. It's something that people the most in this comment here says, I like Mo as the outlet. He keeps his head in the match, and one misstep by his man and off he goes. And it goes with, so just after that, we had Nicholas Jackson has a shot where he puts it off the angle of the post in the bar. He seems like he hurts himself in the process. And then on the 35th minute, this is so rare that I actually put a star beside it in my notes, that they called a foul for grappling Mo Salah under a long ball. And that kind of goes to what People the Mouse is saying there in terms of being that outlet. He's constantly switched on. He battles for all those balls, and all it takes is just one mental lapse from the defender, and he's in and through. Ashley's one thing that I have from about 35 minutes and through to the end of the first half that is all over my notes, which is Darwin Nunez putting in defensive contributions. And there was a few people in the chat there that saying that he was the perfect substitution for this game. Scouser Pete pointing out the exact same thing. Like 36 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, which is 5 minutes at a time. Like 3 times in the last 10 minutes of the first half, Darwin Nunez is dropping deep and doing what we need to do as a defensive unit. And that must make Arne Slot and the coaching staff very happy.
Yeah. I mean, we've heard Slot say it before. If you don't do the defensive work, you don't play. And I think that, I don't think that's necessarily the reason that Darwin hasn't been playing. But I think given his chance, it's a perfect opportunity for Darwin to prove that he can take that message on board and do the work that Slot wants his center forward to do. And we needed him today. I think it was really interesting, actually, that Slot chose to put Nunez on instead of dropping Gakpo into the center forward position, which he could have done. I think he has kind of differentiated Gakpo's position out left as his best position, which is something that Klopp didn't do. So I think putting Nunez on, giving him that responsibility and letting him just take that responsibility and run with it, literally. It was great to see him take that on board, because there have been games this year that we have not seen him put that effort in. And today was different. I think today was one of the best performances that we've seen from Nunez, especially without a goal contribution. It was one of the best performances that I can remember from him. And there were a few passes that he also put through that were very, very pinpoint. And it's kind of like they say that sometimes strikers can pass the ball the best because they know where another striker wants the ball to be. And there was one, I think, right around this same time period, like 36 minutes, where there was a great pass from Nunez. It went from Nunez to Gakpo, and then Szoboszlai had a shot, and he was just slightly off balance. But yeah, overall, just great performance from him as a whole.
Yeah. It's one of those passes you're talking about, Kev, comes in the 46th minute where John Brooks points to the penalty spot, gives us another penalty when Robert Sanchez comes and absolutely takes out Curtis Jones. It always looks better when the player goes ass over tea kettle with their feet, way up in the air like that. But it comes from Darwin Nunez picking out an absolute pinpoint pass where it seemed like the momentum was taking us from right to left. But Nunez gets the ball in the middle and he stops and he waits and he finds Jones in a little bit of space, plays the ball in through him. I don't think that's a penalty. I think VAR did its job correctly on that one. What's your take, Kev?
First look at it, I thought nailed on. Seeing the last replay, so he got a touch on it. And I thought, okay, I can see why they're going to overturn it. The more I think about it, the more I'm annoyed about that. Because it's something Carragher said at halftime. Since when is getting the ball being the sole arbiter of a foul? He prevents Jones from getting to the return. Jones plays the ball. Sanchez got a touch on it. Ball ricochets back off Jones. Sanchez cleans him out and prevents him from going in to get the tapping. That alone says that the penalty should have stood. But it becomes contentious because so many pundits and commentators and fans don't know the rules, as was evidenced by the earlier game, that it's up in the air, and you trust that the people in the VAR and the referee do. My instinct to me is that they showed him the replay of the touch, and they never allowed that to evolve. It's like, yep, there's a touch there. Keeper got the touch first. Okay, I got it wrong. And I can't be giving Liverpool 2 penalties and a half. I just can't be doing it. If you're a Chelsea fan, of course you are. You're saying, right decision. If you're a Liverpool fan, you're saying, no, it's wrong. But ultimately, if getting the ball is the only arbiter now to decide what a foul is and what a foul isn't, it's a whole new game. Because that went out of football a decade ago. Because what you're saying now is that you can go in for a sliding tackle as long as you skim the top of the ball. You've got the ball first.
Well, like Curtis Jones last season.
If you snap the guy's leg in half, it doesn't matter. You got the ball.
Right.
That's what that penalty says.
I don't want to see that as a penalty, though, because we have goalkeepers that are quick to come off their line. We don't have the type of keeper that stays back and tries to make the save. We've got the sweeper types that come out. So, and I know I may as well be asking for a brand new car to just be sitting in my driveway right now. But if we can get some consistency from the referees and they're not going to call those as penalties throughout I know. That's why I said. I mean, maybe
you mentioned the C word and the R word in the same sentence. You should be suspended.
We're not allowed to say. Oh no, the other C and the other R word. Yeah.
No, it's just that it's one of them. All right, it's a contentious decision, but for me, the ref, their instinct, they know. If the keeper is going to come out and say, okay, I'm cleaning house, and they have carte blanche to do it because it's in the box, then it's open season. It's like the keeper made a bad decision by the way he came out, in my opinion. And he did clean him out. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If a centre-back does that 5 yards out from the edge of the box, you're getting a free kick for it every day.
It's a free kick every day.
It is what it is. It wasn't given, and I can understand the reason why they give it. I just don't agree with the reason why they give it.
Yeah, I mean, people of the mouse here, another good comment, says not a penalty kick for them. It was a brave action by both players going right at each other. I mean, we may as well go around the horn here. Bracky, what are your thoughts on it? Correct call to overturn the on-field penalty award decision, or not enough to clear an obvious bar, all that garbage?
I don't think there's enough to overturn it. I think it falls into one of those. If it's given, it's not overturned. Because if that's the case, you've seen some very soft ones where you've gone, well, you could have overturned that quite comfortably on replay, and they don't. So if it's high bar, it's very fluid when the high bar comes in. And I think I'm pretty certain Alisson's had a very similar penalty given against him for something very similar, where someone basically ran into him and they got a penalty. So I think.
Ashley, what's your take on it, Ashley?
I mean, it might be an unpopular opinion, but I think that if the keeper gets the ball, I'm okay with that not being given.
Ooh.
I know it's an unpopular opinion, but if that was Kelleher or if that was Alisson, I would be pissed if he had gotten the ball and then it had been given. I mean, I think that the way that he tackles Curtis and he just kind of like goes head over heels and, you know, could quite easily snap his neck makes it look horrible. And I mean, to me, I think that might be like a rule change kind of thing. I think that was a really dangerous tackle. I think it's worthy of a penalty, but I think the way that the rules are written with the keeper winning the ball first, I'm okay with the ruling the way it is now. I just think that it might be something that needs to be looked at going forward, because that was a dangerous play and Curtis could have really hurt himself.
Yeah. Well, luckily he's not, because he's got a whole batch of new responsibilities to look after there. So we get into halftime. Just at halftime, I want to thank Derek McCormick. He's given us a €5 super chat, which is fantastic. I believe he's already a member, so I was about to say, save your super chat, get yourself a monthly membership instead. But if you're interested in getting involved in the live chat for all of our shows, so even if you don't pay for this channel, you get all of the content that the Talkin Kop puts out. Nothing is behind a paywall. You might just have to wait a day or two. If you want to get everything live, take part in the chat, just become a member. It's $3.99 a month. So for the price of one, Derek, and you didn't even put a message. Like, you could have put something in there, Derek. I would have read it out. I'm almost contractually obligated to read out whatever you put on a super chat. But I thank you very much for that. But Gav will take whatever YouTube takes off the top of that. Gav will take the rest of that and put it into the fund for our two charities, which is, of course, fan supporting food banks and the Lighthouse Cafe in Dublin, which we're trying to raise €5,000 for each of them to help get them to our fundraising target that we've just set for ourselves. So if you can help us do that, that would be absolutely lovely. Also, for less than €5, you could get yourself a ticket in the footballprizes.co.uk draw, which is a pair of hospitality tickets for Liverpool hosting Real Madrid in the Champions League, which is quite a hefty value for a prize for $2.99 tickets. So the contest is open for, I think, another 8 or 9 days. They're selling only 1,000 of these tickets. So if you're feeling lucky, get your name in the draw. There's a bunch of instant win prizes in there as well, too. We get to halftime. I had the same thing as you guys did, where the 2 minutes of the halftime talk I had to hear, they were talking about how Chelsea dominated us, and I was like, nah, I'm not listening to that. But one big thing that happens at halftime, and it comes in with a couple of the comments that I've saved here. Tommy C saying, Trent was excellent defensively today, but won't be mentioned at all. Aha! As a matter of fact, I am going to mention it, Tommy C, because just before that, it's Beardo put in some stats for us, which go to the halftime change that Chelsea made in terms of taking Jadon Sancho off and bringing Pedro Neto on. I thought Sancho was terrible, and it might have something to do with the fact that Trent Alexander-Arnold against Chelsea had 4 clearances, the most. He won 4 out of 4 tackles, the most. 5 out of 7 ground duels, and 10 defensive actions won, which was the most. Solid defensively and has been throughout the season. Kev, that is a fly under the radar good defensive performance, because I thought Trent played well, but I didn't think that he would have had those numbers to back it up. But the first half, Jadon Sancho may as well have been in his lunch closet at Carrington, because he was so anonymous.
Yeah, it was one of them that our fullbacks today had to really be on it when defending 1v1. We gave up the wings all day. We said, okay, you can have the ball there, but you're not going to hurt us through the middle. And the amount of times Robertson got a lot of stick for it in the first half, where he wasn't out to Madueke really, really sharply like he normally is. He gave him distance and said, okay, if you want to come and beat me, come to the byline and try to beat me. And for the vast majority of the time, he managed it really, really well. There was one opportunity that Chelsea had that led to Palmer's shot, came from it. Other than that, he was fine. Trent on the other side was very, very good. Very solid, very disciplined. Knew he was going to be tested. And there was once in in the first half. I think it was Reece James put a cross in early. Remember the last few years, sides would target Trent with a runner coming in from the far post looking for a header. They tried it once and we dealt with it really well. But between that and Sancho took him a couple of times and he got helped a bit by Szoboszlai, and Salah was tracking as well at times. But in the main, I thought Trent had a really good game. Definitely looked like he'd taken responsibility of saying, look, no matter what happens, I'm doing my right back job. You know, he didn't go wandering, he didn't go drifting into midfield too often. And when he did, he didn't linger about in there. You know, that was the most important thing. He did drift into midfield from time to time. He got the ball and he used it. But when there was any sniff of danger whatsoever, straight back out into right back. And he was waiting then for Chelsea to come again. But again, go back to what we said at the start of the show. It was a really, really disciplined half.
Yeah, I think the whole game, I think you can say that about the whole game because you pointed it out in the preview show we did on Thursday that Nani Madueke versus Andy Robertson was going to be a big battle for us. And it was even the two gyms in the international comps build up to it said, you know, this is one of the games where you're going to see teams more likely to attack Liverpool down Robertson's side than down Trent's side because we're used to for years now, teams just targeting Trent. And it really seemed like Curtis Jones and Cody Gakpo were given instructions to get back and help out to make sure that Madueke didn't have too many times going 1v1 against Andy Robertson. And Chris, it felt like it was all working out very well. Defensively, we were stable as a table, and then like 90 seconds into the second half, and it's 1-1.
Yeah, it's a great ball. I think it's Casado, isn't it?
Yeah,
great ball. It's unusual. Jackson's like Nunez to stay on side. And, hey, listen, he finishes it well. Robertson can't get across quick enough. When you see the replay, he's comfortably on. Canate's just a bit too slow getting out. Everybody else pushes up. Canate doesn't. And it felt a bit of a sucker punch because it was the first real lapse in concentration we'd seen in the game. But look, good finish. You know, good move and pass by Casado. But yeah, a little bit sloppy by Canate. Probably the only mistake he made in the game, to be fair.
Yeah, he probably asked why he wasn't getting the man of the match performance again, you know, and having Arne Slot pull him up on that, being like, you were responsible for the goal, man. You were responsible for the goal.
That's two now.
Yeah.
You were responsible for 66% of the goals we conceded.
Yes, in the league. Oh, yeah, and
league.
a fun stat, I'm going to steal it because I hope I didn't take the words out of your mouth, Ashley, but we still haven't conceded a Premier League goal in the first half. And if that isn't the biggest sea change from last season where we were conceding in the first fucking 10 minutes, it's a breath of fresh air. Ashley, Chris mentions that the Chelsea goal is an absolute sucker punch because it seemed to kind of come out of nowhere. And that's how you respond. You go right back down the other end of the field. And it's like 2.5 minutes maybe or something like that from when the ball kicks back off again. And Curtis Jones, somebody in the Telegram chat, I didn't make a note of whose name it was, predicted a 2-1 win with Curtis Jones scoring because the new dads always seem to score. And would you just look at that? Proud new Papa Curtis Jones, 2-1. What a pass by Mo Salah.
What a pass from Mo Salah and what a touch from Jones, because I thought that was like destined for a first-time finish, but he had time to get that touch off and just chip it right over the keeper. And, I mean, deserved. It was a well-deserved goal. Like, he was threatening the entire game. Whether or not you want to give that second penalty is up to you, but the first penalty was worked by him as well. So, you know, he was one of our biggest threats. And I think that it was a really great call by Slot to put him in the game today because, you know, I don't know if they were expecting that. You know, I don't know if the Chelsea bench was expecting that. And I wasn't expecting that performance from him. I wasn't expecting him to have, I mean, I'm sure that's probably down the road, Madge. But yeah, I wasn't expecting him to pull that kind of performance out of the bag. And it was great. It was great to see.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of brings up the question now of whether that performance was enough from Curtis Jones to warrant him keeping his starting spot. So Madge Apple points out that maybe Dom needs to have a kid. So he did just get engaged. So add 9 months onto that. You might be onto something. So come the start of next season, there's an absolute banker there for a Dominic Szoboszlai goal to go in. after the goal, Kev, we get the start of the changes, which somehow, between the 2 goals and 7 changes in the second half, somehow added up to 7 minutes. And I would love to see the accounting rules where they come up with 7 minutes, but that's neither here nor there. The rest of the match, I will say, from when we get the lead back again, Kev, is an example of the type of football that we are going to have to get used to under Arne Slot when we have a 1-goal lead, which isn't harem scarum. It's not pushing for the extra goal for the extra cushion. It is about control. It is about dominating, and it is about absolutely strangling any hope that the opposition can have. It wasn't perfect today, but early days still. But I find it tough. I'm still getting used to it, but I think I'm going to like it. I think once my stomach develops the constitution for this type of football, I think I can get used to this.
I think you're going to really love it when we have a 2-goal lead. And
Yeah.
you see it when it's really relaxed. I mean, look, just want to say on their goal, the most frustrating thing about their goal for me was the fact that the pass came through the middle of the park. If you're going to give up the wings, you cannot allow that pass to be made. If you're going to be that narrow, Caicedo cannot get his head up and play that pass. Ibu could see the run. He's got to either step up or drop, one of the two. And yeah, it was finished well, and it was razor thin, the decision. But at the same time, that pass cannot be allowed to be made in the first place. Jones, love a midfield runner. Darwin standing in an offside position. They're all playing for the ball to Darwin, and they stop. Jones doesn't. Lovely finish. But yeah, you're right. The rest of the game didn't peter out because we had to be really disciplined. And the changes that we made, the players that came in had to hit the ground running. You know, they made changes as well. And your man, that left back, Ashley, you mentioned him on Thursday night. He's a unit. He's a
Bernardo
mini,
Vega.
yeah, 6'3", big. But the best
until he saw Darwin, then he walked away very quickly.
I loved Darwin being a
Yeah.
peacekeeper.
That was so funny. I thought Mo was going to lamp Darwin at one point. When he pushed his
Darwin
nose
was on a
go
yellow
back.
card. He didn't need to be involved.
Yeah, there was 2 great bits of shithousery that I loved in that second half. Konate's foul.
Oh, it's a pure team one, isn't it?
Best, most beautiful yellow
Taking
card
one.
you will ever see. I love to see that. And the other one was, I think, Badiashile chests Darwin. Darwin falls to the floor, and he's on the floor, and he's laughing his head off.
He's laughing as he's going down. Like,
Yeah.
he went down like he had rigor mortis, and he's just got this big shit-eating grin on his face. But
Well,
that was
I'll tell you,
Just so you know, Gary Neville wanted Darwin Nunez booked for that because he said it was
Yeah.
a pathetic dive. I was like, honestly, Gary, chill out, son.
and
listen,
that
Do you-
was,
do you-
I think, the best moment that John Brooks had in the game was that Badiashile and Nunez had this little running battle for pretty much the majority of the last half hour of the game. But in that moment where Darwin fouls him, Badiashile bodies Darwin to the ground. Darwin does this big, like, over-exaggerated fall while laughing, and then he gets back up, and John Brooks calls them both over, gives them both a little talking to, and sends them on their way. And Chris, it seems like Darwin Nunez took that personally, that he didn't get a yellow card, because it was like 5 seconds later he fouls
A foul 5 seconds later. It's just a shoulder. Honestly, that fella doesn't know what shoulder-to-shoulder challenge is because it was a booking. Sorry, it was a foul. It wasn't a booking. For the things that weren't booked, that was like trivial. You know what I mean? And it wasn't consistent because simple things happened second half and he didn't do anything. He was shite, that referee. Because we've won, we can say it now. And he doesn't sound like sour grapes, but he was shite.
Pretty much all of them are. I mean, I think the only refs that are good are the ones that are on VAR duty for an Arsenal game, because apparently they're all big red supporters.
Oh, by the way, if there is this conspiracy that Arsenal think for Liverpool to win the league with all the Liverpool people managing the Arsenal game, if that was the case, Tosin would have been sent off. They would have kept the second penalty and they would have sent Bashidi off for bodying Darwin. If there is this conspiracy that he believes going on, things would have happened and they didn't.
Well, you can't talk about a conspiracy too much because, you know, you shed too much light on it and it wilts like some sort of weird mushroom or something like that. We've got a lot to get through. Again, we've got another show coming up in like 4.5 hours. Kev's a little under the weather, having picked up another bout of COVID. What are we on, 25 now, Kev? You poor bugger. You poor bugger. So we don't want to keep you too long, but Ashley's done her regular thing of compiling a pile of post-match quotes. So I'm going to fly through these as fast as I can because Brian O'Sullivan was making me think about back in the day when we used to do ad reads and I'd get to talk really quickly. So let me have a little bit of fun with this. This is just for me here. Curtis Jones on winning the penalty says, I mean, I never dive. I felt contact. I went down. It was a penalty. Yeah. Continues to say, to play in this team, you've got to have energy and run all over the pitch. Dominic Soboslai. On his goal, Curtis says, it kind of bounced. I thought I got a touch. It's got to be a perfect touch. And it really was. I took all the pace off of it with his left foot and then tucked it home with the right foot. As Ashley pointed out, Mo Salah's now in the top 10 all-time Premier League goal scorers. Curtis Jones, he says, I'm a dad a week. It's a different type of joy. I have a smile on my face all week. I hope my girlfriend and baby are watching at home. Probably shouldn't have a week-old baby watching a 2-hour football match, just to say. Ashley had those same comments that I put up from Beardo. I like to give somebody else a little bit of love. Enzo Maresca on Anfield. The only thing I can say that sometimes in this stadium, some decisions are for the noise of the crowd. Well, it's your first fucking time coaching here, so I don't know what you're talking about. It sounds like he's completely talking out of his ass. He also says, I think we controlled most of the game. Absolutely, Enzo. You just keep on thinking that. Arne Slot says the most important thing is you want a chance to win a game like this against a strong Chelsea side is that you work so hard, and we did that. Couldn't agree more. Slot says it could have been a crucial decision for VAR to overturn the referee's decision on the pitch. I don't think VAR should have intervened. If you look at the screen, I think it's a penalty. It's one of those very contentious ones. Arne says the fans stood up today. They helped us a lot. And on his yellow card, so it wasn't Heitinga, it was Arne Slot on his yellow card. The booking came from 3 to 4 decisions that didn't go our way. The handball, everyone was screaming for it. So did I as well. I deserve the yellow card, which is just nice. Arne says, we felt it, that the fans felt it. They were really there for us today. In the end, you get the same amount of points as if you played Nottingham Forest.
He hates Nottingham Forest, by the way.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
We did lose to them, so he's got a little chip on his shoulder about that. Maresca says, I think the performance was very good. We don't like to lose games or drop points, but if we are to lose, this is the way to do it. That is the definition of Pyrrhic right there.
That is pure Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah.
That is so Brendan Rodgers.
3 envelopes, and one of them has that Cope inside of it. Ashley with a brilliant stat here. Only Pep Guardiola, who won his first 10 matches, has reached 10 wins in all competitions as a Premier League manager, and fewer matches than Arne Slot, who did it in 11, which is absolutely brilliant. Arne Slot on Liverpool's willingness to fight. The better teams you face, the more you need it. To which Red Armchair supporter says, what will the they've played nobody yet moaners cry about now? Arne Slot on new dad Curtis Jones. He had a very good game, a very difficult job controlling Cole Palmer. He did that really well today. And that's more of a quote there. And then to have the impact on the other side of the game with the goal and 2 penalties, that shows you the big impact he had on both sides of the pitch, which brings me nicely on to man of the match. I'm going to go ahead and take the low-hanging fruit because I don't even think it's a question. So maybe we can go to man of the match that's not Curtis Jones. But even if Jones didn't have the goal and the assist, I would have given man of the match to Curtis Jones for the defensive job that he did on Cole Palmer today, because I absolutely loved what he did in that defensively today. And there was a moment in the second half where I don't have it marked down, but we had kind of turned the ball over in the middle of the park and we were getting back and we had numbers. And Jones he's looking around and scanning and he's waving to the forwards to get back and he's organizing and marshaling. He's looking to find out where Cole Palmer is. Like, Kev, I thought he had a fantastic game, but I would like any other recommendations because I will have no disagreement that man of the match was Curtis Jones today.
Well said. Yeah, no, look, Curtis Jones was outstanding. And a large part of the reason why I think he was selected is because of how well he knows Cole Palmer. He's played with Cole Palmer right the way through the age ranks, won the Euros with England with Cole Palmer, and he knows what's coming with him. There's no surprises. There's nothing in Cole Palmer that's going to surprise Curtis Jones. And delighted for him, because for someone who gets as much abuse as he does, he's an outstanding talent, and the future's bright for him. But if you're looking for others, Andy Robertson had a good game overall. Defensively, he was solid enough. Madueke didn't really get much out of him. And that was the nuts and bolts of our of how we were set up today. Defensively, be as solid as you can be. And I thought defensively, we were very, very sound. The chances that Chelsea were limited to were from distance. And yeah, they had 2 half chances towards the end, but overall, I think we managed that out really well. I'd say an honourable mention would be Tandy Robertson for me.
I like that. Chris, Claire Dean went with Trent for man of the match. Avo, Salah. I'm presuming both of these are after Curtis Jones because, again, no arguments there on it. Who was your not Curtis Jones man of the match, Chris?
Gravenberch. It's the easy answer sometimes, but, he went against the 2 DMs that we tried to buy, and he sent them both for the Echo with that Gini Wijnaldum body swerve, which he just does it every game now, and it's brilliant. I wonder if he sat with Thiago and learned how to do that. But I thought he did the dirty work well. He did what a number 6 should do, and still got involved in the play. The other honourable mention probably Canate. I thought him and Virgil play well, but I'll go with Gravenberch because you have to mention him every game anyway.
Yeah, it's it was one of his quieter games in that 6 role because I thought the majority of the defensive work went to Curtis Jones, but he was quite tidy. It's more of like a Genie Alcantara body swerve. It's like the best of both of those 2 players' body swerves.
It's great. Whichever way, it's great, though, isn't it?
Oh, he doesn't have quite the massive ass like Gini Wijnaldum did.
I think he's developing the genius thing where he just sticks his ass out and goes, "You're not getting the ball off me." He's definitely developed.
3 Barcelona players bouncing off of that. Ashley, who did you like except for Curtis Jones for man of the match?
I think Kanate is a good shout. I think that they're like the first half particularly, he had a couple of really fantastic blocks, like right on our box. And especially that foul at the end of the game, which does put him on 4 yellow cards. So we do have to be careful with him. But yeah, I think he was just solid again and has been solid all season.
Yeah. It's I like this. People of the Mouse. I'm giving you MVP in the chat today, People of the Mouse. Runner up to Darwin for not biting anyone because this is from the little dear McGlinchey from like a half an hour ago that says Nunez will just be a good battler on the field, but thought his discipline was going to go. And I was so impressed with Darwin Nunez because I saw it a handful of times, maybe 5-6 times after he picked up his yellow card where he's running back on defense and you can just see the moment where he's like, fuck, don't grab him. You're on a yellow. And I didn't think he had it in him. I was really worried that in that scramble to get back and make sure that we held on to a 1-goal lead, that Darwin Nunez's brain was just going to float off to La La Land and he was going to take a stupid yellow card where we'd all be sitting here going, what are you doing? But I was very, very impressed.
The only time I thought he was going to get a second yellow was at the 96th minute where he gets a free kick given against him for a fair shoulder-to-shoulder.
Did you think they were going to score? Because I honestly,
I did. Yeah.
So my dog started fucking barking, so I had to hobble away from the TV to see if somebody was here with 6.5 minutes of extra time being played. So I'm trying to watch, and I see this happen. And it's like they're going to fucking score. Chelsea's going to go down the other end and score because that non-call was terrible.
So, but he was right to lose his shit there. And when it's not on Darwin, where the whole Liverpool bench lost their shit, and Kev's honourable mention gets a massive block in. Andy Robertson. It's a big block.
Yeah.
I don't know where they got 7 minutes of extra time from.
I honestly, Ashley, that's why I said it. Of like, how do you get 7? Like, I can get the 5 minutes in the first half because we had a goal, we had some VAR stoppages, we had some injury stoppages, we had a substitution. That all makes sense. The second half, you're like, oh, there's going to be a lot of time added on. I was like, okay, there was 2 goals. And there were 7 substitutions, but 3 of them came in a block from Chelsea.
And one VAR check. The VAR check for the equaliser.
That was quick. That was pretty obvious. You saw one replay and you're like, fuck, that's a goal. Like,
yeah, but that's to draw the lines,
Yeah, it was still about 2 minutes.
You could have drawn those lines on his cell phone. That was quite clearly on.
I don't think you need the lines, to be honest. But first replay, you're like, that definitely looks off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. PW, which is Polly Walnut, saying, love that Darwin gets credit for not being unstable. That's just.
He towed the line.
It's the start.
He was fire toward the end.
But this is the thing people said he couldn't do, which is he couldn't keep his cool in a tense game and lead the line, and he did today. And a big game. It wasn't like it was a routine game.
Exactly.
As for we've played nobody, well, Arsenal played a nobody apparently yesterday. That went well. City played a nobody today and took a 96-minute winner. So maybe
All right,
some of
let's
these
just
games-
throw it around. Chris, you brought it up. What did you think of the call to
I haven't seen it.
award
I
goal?
haven't seen it because I was driving back
Oh
from the
yeah,
women's
you were at the
game.
women's
And
you were at the
I was
women's
trying
game.
and I was trying not to crash my car because
Okay,
I'm so
Ashley,
pissed
Kev,
off with Drew.
did both of you see the City winner, the late City winner?
I saw a replay, didn't see it live.
What'd you think,
Yeah.
Kev?
It's offside. Every
I
which way you look at
disagree.
it. Well,
Disagree.
according to the rules, it's offside. Could the keeper have come out and tried to clean that ball?
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
No, he couldn't. No, he couldn't because Bernardo Silva was backing into him while the ball was in the air.
But wasn't that
So
first?
he was offside.
That happened first, and then he got
Doesn't
the-
matter. It doesn't make a blind bit of difference. He prevented
But I
him
don't-
from
I don't
making
think
an attempt.
Okay, Kev, let's break this down. So when he because he does back into Jose Sa originally, but he's not offside there because you can't be offside from a corner. So he's not offside for that backing in. So if you look at it in isolation, was his backing into Jose Sa enough to blow up the play and chalk off a goal? I don't think it was. And then when the ball's in its second phase where he is offside, the little rat fuck ducks out of the way and is no longer impeding with the play. I think that was the correct choice. As much as it pains, it makes me throw up in my mouth to say
All
it.
the rule says is, does he impact his ability to stop the ball? And just by being there, two, by backing into him, prevents him from being able to get one out, and two, being able to launch from his feet either way. Whether he'd have got there or not, it doesn't make a blind bit of difference because the rules are black and white. Does it stop him from making the effort? Yes. That's all it has to do. It stops him from making the effort. The linesman gave it offside.
Yeah, I just disagree, and it pains me to do. Ashley, what was your take having seen the replay of it?
I mean, it's one of those ones where I totally get the conversation about clear and obvious. It was given on the field. I think that if Silva had backed into the keeper in the second half of the play, I think that it would have been fair to call it. I think because he backed into the keeper, then he ducked. So once the ball was struck, Bernardo Silva wasn't active anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key part. Like if it had happened after the ball had been struck for the goal, it would have been a different conversation, in my opinion. But I'm just I'm very unpopular today with.
Oh, I like this. A live reaction, a live take. Chris, you've just watched it.
I've seen it. I think if the header is in the bottom corners going downwards, I think then you disallow it because I think then he's impeding him because it's high. Although he pushes
doesn't make a difference.
He can see it. It doesn't impede his view.
Doesn't matter.
He doesn't push him. He just backs.
It impedes his feet.
Defending Man City. What does the world come to? Fuck those
I know.
cheats.
We should probably just stop. Well,
otherwise, what's the point? No. What's the point in coming out? What's the point in defenders coming out? Just put 4 men on the ground because the forwards are just going to barrage your keeper anyway.
I mean, to be fair, Kev, we were doing that earlier in the season with our first half in-swinging corners where we would put Kanate and Virgil around their goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Saul was never coming for that ball. He was never coming for that ball.
Whether he was or wasn't doesn't matter.
Stopped.
I will send you. There's 4 lines
Kev,
of a
I'm
rule.
not reading the rules if the refs don't read the fucking rules.
Well,
why should I be forced to read the rules when the refs don't seem to know the rules? I'm just an idiot that talks on YouTube in his basement.
Mate, it's either you follow the rules as they have them written, or they don't bother.
Yeah,
and this is where because this happened last season with Man United as well. Man United,
and it also happened in the League Cup final.
Yeah. So,
which is what people are mouth saying.
What do they want? I
don't
mean,
know.
at the end of the day, even as someone said earlier, I didn't even see. I didn't see the post-match interviews, but apparently Guardiola said that he didn't agree with it.
Yeah, somebody said that in a comment.
You can be magnanimous after you've got the winner, can't you?
I know that.
Give 2 points back then. Give 2 points back.
Can you imagine a team in blue not following the rules allegedly? Be amazing, that wouldn't it? But I'm sure that doesn't happen allegedly.
We can't claim conspiracy because obviously the conspiracy is against Arsenal. I don't know if you've been
Well,
online.
it is, because
last
the
24
conspiracy
hours.
is they've made sure Liverpool and City have won now because they don't want Arsenal to win the league. That's what it is.
No, see, Chris, the funny thing about that is that nobody mentions Liverpool. And
They did today.
I'm
They
delighted.
did today.
They did today.
The late
For the
saying-
first time.
the latest in Arsenal Twitter world
title
is
challengers
it's
next
City
to-
and City and Liverpool are boxing it for just them two.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that. See,
We're always involved. Did you not know?
oh, no.
Oh,
I
we're
know
always
that.
involved.
I
We're
know
always involved. You know
But
what I
I
mean?
was just happy that they, the media, didn't seem to know that because it was all Arsenal, Man City, Arsenal, Man City. Whereas we're winning the fucking league because
we're in
Arne
the
Slot is
we're
on
in
to
the tight race
something.
now. We're in
And
the tight race now because we played
completely
one
changed
play.
after the final whistle today. Like
Mhm.
completely changed. They were talking about how seamless the transition has been between like Klopp and Slot. I haven't heard any of this shit for the whole season, and all of a sudden it's coming out now.
We're all getting fired up. And you want to know why that is? I'm sorry. Can somebody just do a quick table check? Can somebody tell me who's top of the league?
Oh, that's us.
Liverpool is top of the league, and that's what I'm here for. And I'll tell you what else I'll be here for. That's in 4 hours and 10 minutes when Gav and whoever he can rouse up, which probably won't be Shawnee Lawson, who has been delayed coming back.
2 hours.
What? do you
2
mean?
hours.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm still thinking I'm in the Eastern time zone. Yeah, those shows. Holy crap, that's right away. We could just about push. We could talk about refereeing decisions and just make it one big long show. But according to Avo, Kev's got to go off and watch the Texas F1.
Not a real
It's
sport.
about to go on. Yeah,
Not a real sport.
And you know what? I'm going to go watch NFL right now. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. Mostly thank you for Arne Slot and all the wonderful, wonderful Red Men that allowed us to continue to be top of the Premier League table. It has been absolutely fantastic. If you've watched the show and liked it, even if you've not liked it, just hit the like button anyways. Subscribe, become a member if you want to, but please help support our two charities, Fan Supporting Food Banks in Liverpool, the Lighthouse Cafe in Dublin, footballprizes.co.uk, all that goodness. Thank you very much to Chris. Thank you very much to Hurricane Ashley. Thank you very much to Grumpy/Optimistic Kev. I've been Matt. This has been the Talkin Kop. We have been Liverpool 2. They have been Chelsea 1.2 billion to 1. Liverpool top of the league. See you next time. Oh shit, the video. Hold on. I've gotten all ahead of myself. Let's try that again. See you next time.
Seamless.
Like a pro.